Okay, shall we dig into the verse 1 as we speed along? When peacocks roam through the jungle of virulent poison, though the gardens of medicinal plants are attractive, the peacock flocks will not take delight in them, for peacocks thrive on the essence of virulent poison. Likewise, when heroes enter the jungle of cyclic existence, though the gardens of happiness and prosperity may seem beautiful, the heroes will not become attached to them, for heroes thrive in the forest of suffering. Okay, so here they're making, Dhammarakshita's making an analogy between peacocks and bodhisattvas. Okay, so peacocks, though there's medicinal plants and all sorts of yummy things to eat, they actually thrive when they eat poisonous plants. And so similarly, bodhisattvas, although there's all the delights of cyclic existence all around them, they actually thrive when they enter situations of difficulty. Okay, it's hard to imagine that, but a bodhisattva is somebody who aspires to become a fully awakened Buddha for the benefit of each and every living being. So somebody with that kind of motivation and intention in their mind approaches life very differently than the rest of us who are primarily concerned with ourselves. Yeah. So we usually run away from difficulties, they run towards them. Yeah. Our philosophy, or maybe I should speak for myself, my philosophy is, if it's a problem, you can have it. If it's something good, I'll take it. Yeah. For bodhisattvas, it's the exact opposite. Okay. Thus, those who avidly pursue happiness and prosperity are brought to suffering due to their cowardice. But the bodhisattvas who willingly embrace suffering always remain happy due to their heroism. Okay, so somebody, an ordinary being like me, I pursue happiness and prosperity. Not all happiness and prosperity. The happiness and prosperity right now. Yeah, so I want what I want when I want it. And I want happiness and prosperity now for myself, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it. Yeah? Is this kind of your outlook on life too, or am I just talking about myself? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, who do I think about all day? Me. Yeah. Okay, and due to this attachment, when I'm very attached to my own happiness, then I'll do all sorts of things to get my own happiness. I'll manipulate others, I'll connive, I'll steal, I'll lie, I'll exaggerate, whatever I need to do to get what I want, I'll do it. Now, of course, I try and be polite when I do it, which means I try not to let anybody know that I'm manipulating and deceiving and so on and so forth. Okay, because one of the things I want, of course, is a good image. So it's like how to get what you want without looking like you're selfish. So, kind of have developed that skill quite well. Yeah. But because of it, because I'm cowardly about dealing with suffering, I don't want to give up my own happiness or having my own way at any cost, then I create a ton of negative karma. Like I said, first of all, running after what I want. And second, if I don't get what I want, then I get really upset. And so anybody who gets in my way, I will badmouth, I'll criticize, talk behind their back. If we get really, really upset, we'll throw something, or people start a war when they don't get what they want. And so, but actually that's cowardice, because we're unable to bear any difficulty. Not even difficulty in order to prevent our own suffering, let alone to bear difficulty to prevent others' suffering. Okay? So like I was saying, very often, we don't get what we want, so we attack somebody else, verbally or physically, and that just brings more problems to us right now, even though what we're wanting is not that. So we often, as they say, are our own worst enemy because of the attachment we have to my happiness right now, and the aversion and dislike we have to not getting what we want. Anybody here a good loser? No. We want to win. We want to be right. We want to get what we want. We want to be comfortable. We want to have a good reputation. We want people to love us and appreciate us and approve of us and praise us. And, we deserve it all. So this kind of attitude, just rules out any, kindness and consideration for other beings, and makes us do things that harm others, that then brings misery upon ourselves. Okay? Whereas if we're able to endure a little bit of suffering without retaliating and complaining and driving other people crazy, then, we learn to develop a sense of contentment in our own life, and we're able to create some merit by, acting in wholesome ways. Okay, but the bodhisattvas, who willingly embrace suffering, always remain happy due to their heroism. So isn't it interesting that a being who cherishes others more than self, and heroically works for the benefit of others, even if it means they don't, get the status or material possessions or whatever, they're the people, because of their accumulation of good karma and virtue, wind up always happy. Whereas those of us who don't want to experience any difficulty and who do everything for our own benefit, we wind up miserable. Isn't it interesting? Because our self-centered thought tells us the opposite. Our self-centered thought says, take care of yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, nobody's going to look after you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, everybody's going to trample all over you. And so, we follow what the self-centered mind dictates, but we wind up more unhappy. Whereas somebody who cherishes others more than self, somebody else wins, wow, that's great. Imagine, you guys are all into soccer, right? Yeah, is soccer kind of the big thing in Australia? Is it? Cricket? What's cricket? Isn't that an insect that does something that, makes noise around? How do you play cricket? A bat and a ball. Yeah, must have a ball. People go crazy over what happens to balls. All these games that involve balls, and it's like people are nuts. Yeah. Isn't it interesting the emotion that people generate about where a ball is. I find it so interesting, yeah. My dad plays golf, my nephew plays football, my brother plays tennis. Who cares where the ball goes? They care a lot. I don't get it. Anyway, okay. So imagine with cricket, can you rejoice when the other, is it a team sport? Okay. Can you rejoice when the other team wins? Can you say, wow, somebody did a really good play? That's terrific. Look at how skilled they are. Can you? You're going, how dare she even suggest such a thing? My team has to win. Why? Because it's my team. There's no other reason than that. Yeah, if it weren't my team, then who cares what happens to them? But it's my team. Why is it my team? Because I made up that story that it's my team. Yeah, maybe because I like their colors, maybe because I live in the city where they're from. Who knows? Yeah, but my team. Yeah, and so, we put ourselves in a situation where I'm only happy if my team wins. Whereas, wouldn't it be nice to be able to rejoice when the other team wins? Yeah? Or somebody else gets the promotion. Yeah? Can you rejoice somebody else gets the promotion? Now they have the opportunity to work 12 hours a day. Yeah? And you still only have the opportunity to work 8. Oh, too bad. Can you rejoice that they got the promotion? Now here, desire is like the jungle of virulent poison. The peacock-like heroes alone can digest this, but for the crow-like cowards it spells death. For how can the self-centered digest such poison? When you extend this analogy to other afflictions, each similarly assails liberation's life force, like poison to a crow. Therefore, peacock-like heroes must convert afflictions that resemble the jungle of poisons into an elixir and enter the jungle of cyclic existence. Embracing the afflictions, heroes must destroy their poison. Okay, so crows, that's people like us. Crows, if they try to enter, peacocks, they can eat poisonous things and they thrive. Crows, if they eat the same things, they die. Because their systems are different. They can't handle the poisons. Yeah. Bodhisattvas, those who cherish others above self, and who are seriously meditating on the nature of reality to develop wisdom, they can deal with afflictions like desire or anger. Yeah, not because they get involved in desire or anger, but because they can separate the self-centeredness from the affliction. They can separate the energy of the affliction from the view that affliction takes on objects. So for bodhisattvas, they can be in the world of cyclic existence where there is, where desire is our motto, isn't it? Yeah, we're beings in the desire realm. We desire everything that's nice. Good sights, nice sounds, good smells, good tastes, nice tactile situations. Yeah, but when we get all these things, our mind gets confused, and the desire, the attachment for these things makes us crazy. And we'll do all sorts of stuff to get what we want, and then we harm whatever gets in the way. Whereas for bodhisattvas, who don't have the same take on things, who don't have the same worldview, they can use the objects of desire, but they don't get all stuck on them the way we do. Okay? Because they use them with the thought to be of benefit to other living beings. Okay? If the bodhisattvas show a very fierce aspect, it's not because they're angry, it's because that's how they need to communicate with somebody else at that particular moment to really get the point across to them. Okay, so why bodhisattvas can be in this world surrounded by all the pleasures and surrounded by other beings with all of our afflictions. For those of us who are incapable of dealing with our own minds, we just go berserky. And we just like, I want and I want and I want, and get this away and bang it, So bodhisattvas are the heroes who are like the peacocks. So they're able to transform the energy of the afflictions, and they're able to work with the objects of desire, and the unpleasant objects in a totally different way than we do, because their motivation is to be of benefit. Okay, so they embrace the afflictions and destroy the poison of the afflictions. Okay, so they may use things and do things that look like desire, but their minds are not contaminated by that desire. They may behave in very fierce ways, but their minds are not polluted by anger. From now on, I will distance myself from this demon's emissary, self-grasping, which makes me wander helplessly and seeks only selfish happiness and prosperity. I will joyfully embrace hardship for the sake of others. So when we really look deeply at what the effects of following our clinging attachment, our anger, our confusion, our self-centeredness are, when we can look and really squarely face how those things cause us suffering, not happiness, then we develop a very strong intention to reverse the situation. And instead of thinking only about ourselves, to generate the bodhicitta, the aspiration for full awakening for the benefit of all beings. And that bodhicitta cherishes others above self and has very deep love and compassion for them. Okay, so we say at this point, I will joyfully embrace hardship for the sake of others. So here we're not making ourselves martyrs. It's not, boy, I'm going to get some super status or some super award by making myself a martyr for somebody else's benefit, and then go around and brag how compassionate we are that we're experiencing suffering for somebody else's benefit. It's not that. It's done really with a mind of wisdom that sees, if I continue to follow my attachment, my jealousy, my anger, my arrogance, I'm just going to be digging myself into a hole with more and more misery. If I continue to follow this selfish mind, I'm just going to create more and more problems for myself and others. And so because I want to be happy, I'm going to stop creating the causes for my own unhappiness. And to do that, that involves cherishing others, and giving up this incredible disease of unhealthy self-concern. Okay? So this doesn't mean we aren't concerned with ourself. Okay? It doesn't mean we hate ourselves, we deprive ourselves, we put ourselves down, we think we're only worms. It doesn't mean that. Because to be a bodhisattva, you have to have an incredible inner strength. Yeah. You have to be very strong internally, and you have to have an extremely clear mind that can discern, kind of what are beneficial actions and what are non-beneficial actions. What is realistic and what is fabrication. Okay? So being a bodhisattva does not mean that we're goody two-shoes. Do you have that expression in Australia, goody two-shoes? Pollyanna. Oh, I'm so sweet. I'm going to work for everybody else's benefit. It doesn't mean becoming like that. And it doesn't mean like, look what I did for you. I sacrificed so much. You should appreciate what I've done for you. It doesn't mean that either. It just means seeing the situation realistically and knowing, boy, if I continue with my self-centered, manipulative, conniving, greedy behavior, I'm only harming myself. And I'm tired of suffering. And I'm actually tired of harming others too. Because harming others does not bring me any happiness. It brings me misery. Yeah? So I've got to change my ways. And then we have a strong motivation to learn the Buddha's teachings, which are teaching us how to change our ways. And we have the ability and the possibility to change. We are not some kind of concrete person. We do not have a fixed personality. No? So sometimes, we hang on to our different identities. For example, we were talking about the victim identity. I am a victim. What can I do? I was traumatized when I was a child, or traumatized when I was an adult, and abused. And what can I do? I can't do anything. Yeah, because look what others have done to me. So if we have that view, who's causing our suffering? Who's limiting our possibilities? We are. Just by the way we're thinking. Just by the way we're thinking. Yeah, because we have the clear light nature of mind. Our mind is unstained. Of course we can change. Yeah, of course we aren't inherently a victim. Okay, so we may have that identity, and if we believe it and make it solid, because it isn't solid and it's self-created. Yeah. So if we do that, we're digging ourselves into a hole and then decorating our hole and saying, I can't get out of it. Where I live at Sravasti Abbey, we have turkeys. And turkeys are so interesting. You can do a whole Dharma course on turkeys and turkey behavior. Okay? Turkeys, they can't bear to be alone, They want to be with their fellow turkeys. So if we have a fence around our garden to keep the deer out. I like to think to keep the turkeys out, but they don't agree. So they fly in. Yeah. In the winter, we keep the gates open so that they can walk in, they can walk out. Turkeys will go into the garden one of their friends will fly over the fence out of the garden, and then they say, I don't want to be alone. I've got to follow my other turkey, all the other turkeys who are now out of the garden. They will run around the garden looking for a way to get out. But as soon as they come to where the open gate is, they turn the other way and run away from the open gate. Yeah. It's fascinating. They want to get on the other side of the fence. They run away from the opening in the fence. Yeah? It's like watching flies in a room. Have you ever watched flies? They'll go to the glass and they'll bang themselves against the glass. You open the door. Will they fly out the door? No. They will either bang themselves on the glass or they will go round and around in the middle of the room. Okay, so this is like us. When we create an identity, a false identity, and believe in it. Yeah? We are saying, I want to be happy, and then we're running away from the gate, telling ourselves, I can't get over the fence, even though the gate's open. Okay? Another kind of identity we may trap ourselves with is, I'm an angry person. Yeah, that's just my personality. I'm an angry person. My family better learn to live with it. Yeah, I blow up. I lose my temper. I love them dearly, but this is just the way that I am, so they better get used to my having a temper. Because I can't change. Yeah? Some people say that to themselves. Say that to their families. That's just the way I am. Get used to it. Is that true? That we can't change? That when we're angry, there's nothing to do about our anger? Does that mean our anger is an inherent part of ourselves? No. You know, our anger is not who we are. It's based on misconception. As soon as we eliminate the misconception, the anger has nothing to stand on. Yeah, so we can't just make an excuse for our anger by saying, well, that's the way I am. You better get used to it. What kind of thing is that to say to the people we love? I love you dearly, so just get used to the fact that I yell and scream and throw things at you and beat you up. You know, you're practicing compassion, aren't you? You went to that Buddhist teaching. They taught you about compassion. So you should have compassion for me and my hot temper. Huh? Excuse me? Yeah. Is that the meaning of compassion? That you put up with somebody beating you up? Yeah. Oh yes, dear, I realize you have a problem with anger. You beat me up yesterday. I forgive you. You can beat me up again today. That is not compassion. That's stupidity. Yeah. Yeah. Better to say, ciao, bye. That behavior is inappropriate. I don't hate you. I can forgive you, but I'm not staying there and taking that. Okay, that's not the meaning of compassion. Yeah, letting somebody beat up on you doesn't help them. But killing them in return for it doesn't help them either. Okay, so we have to find another way where we can keep our mind settled and look creatively at how to deal with situations. You know, to do something that can be as good as an outcome as possible for everybody involved, although it may not be what everybody wants. Okay, so I will joyfully embrace hardship for the sake of others, because I know I want to change, and because I really dearly care about others. Propelled by karma and habituated to the afflictions, the sufferings of all beings who share this nature, I will heap them upon myself that yearns for happiness. When selfish craving enters my heart, I will expel it and offer my happiness to all beings. If those around me rise in mutiny against me, I will relish it, thinking this is due to my own negligence. So these two verses are talking about a meditation called the taking and giving meditation. Okay? So propelled by karma and habituated to afflictions, the sufferings of all beings who share this nature. Okay, so all other beings are just like me. Yeah, their minds too are overwhelmed by the afflictions. They create karma motivated by their afflictions, and their karma arises as their own enemies and, makes them suffer. So here they have suffering and the cause of suffering, the afflictions. So the first two noble truths. Yeah. So the suffering and cause of suffering that other beings have, because I care dearly about them, because I want to destroy my own self-centeredness, I will imagine taking their misery and the causes of their misery onto myself, and not just taking their suffering and then gagging on it and suffering myself, but taking what others don't want, which is their suffering and its causes, and using it to destroy what I don't want, which is my self-grasping ignorance and self-centered thought. So in the taking and giving meditation, what we do is we imagine other living beings who are experiencing difficulties with a sense of great compassion. We say, may I take that upon myself? May I experience it instead of them? We imagine their suffering and the afflictions and karma which caused it, leaving them. We imagine it coming into ourselves, and as it's coming into us, it changes into a lightning bolt that strikes at our own self-centeredness, our own ignorance that we imagine as a lump at our own heart. Okay? So we're taking what others don't want, their suffering and afflictions, and transforming it so that it destroys what we don't want, our self-centeredness and ignorance. So that comes, it turns into a lightning bolt, it destroys, this lump at our heart. When the lump at our heart is destroyed, then our heart is completely open. Yeah, there is open space, unlimited, open, free space in our own heart. Then, with a sense of compassion, with love, a sense of love, which wants other beings to be happy and have the causes of happiness, we imagine giving them our body, our possessions, and our merit, our good karma. Okay? So we imagine our body transforming and becoming whatever others need. We imagine our possessions transforming and becoming what others need. We give all these things to others. We imagine even our good karma, our merit that we create. We give it freely to other living beings, and it ripens so that they can learn the Dharma teachings and have all the conducive circumstances for practicing and become fully awakened beings. Okay? So this meditation, taking on the suffering of others, giving them our happiness, this is the practice of a bodhisattva. Yeah. And this, we do it as a meditation, Of course, we can't really take on others' suffering. We can't really take on their karma. But what we're doing in this meditation is developing strength inside of our own being, so that, and we're strengthening our own compassion, thinking, that may I bear this instead of them bearing it, making our compassion so strong that we are willing to bear suffering so that others can be alleviated from that suffering. Okay? They often compare that compassion to a parent's compassion for their child. Yeah? Because very often parents, if your child is sick, you would much rather be sick yourself than see your child be sick. Yeah, parents' compassion is often like that. Yeah, I'm not a parent, I don't know, but so they say, and so I've witnessed, watching other people. So, it is possible to have that view whereby we cherish others so much that we would be willing to, be sick rather than have them be sick. Or we're willing to do without rather than have them do without. I remember talking to my grandmother one time. My dad was born in 1921, right before the Depression. Yeah, my grandparents were immigrants to the country. They were quite poor. And then the Depression hit, so it was really, bad news. And my grandma told me that often there wasn't enough food, but when my dad and my uncle came home, she would tell them that she had eaten already and then give what little food they had to them. Yeah? So that kind of compassion where, she was willing to bear the hunger herself rather than her children be hungry. So if we can develop that same kind of compassion, because when you really have that strong intention for others to be free of suffering, then you don't hurt so much taking on their suffering, because you're actually fulfilling what you want, which is for them to be happy. And similarly, when we sincerely want others to have happiness and its causes, then giving away the things that are near and dear to us is not a problem, because our mind really sincerely wants others to have happiness and its causes. Okay? So we do this meditation, in the form of visualization to strengthen our compassion, to strengthen our love, so that when outside of meditation we meet situations where we can really be of benefit, then we just do it very, very easily. Okay? But it takes a lot of meditation to develop that compassion to such a strength, and to develop our love so it's that strong too. Yeah. So in the process of getting from where we are now to where bodhisattvas are now, we need to be very skillful in nudging our mind along the way, nudging but not pushing. And it's sometimes quite difficult, at least if you have a mind like mine. When I lived in Dharamsala many years ago, I was studying at the library with Geshe Nawan Darge, and he would teach us this meditation and teach us about cherishing others more than self. And I was really living on a shoestring at that time. I had very little money. But every week I would walk down to the bazaar to get some groceries. And on the way, I would pass the resident beggars. There were certain beggars that lived in our community. And many of them were lepers. And they would sit by the side of the road and, you know, with their tin bowls, tin cups. And I would be on my way to get groceries. And of course, they would ask me for 25 paise, which in that day was worth, I don't know, maybe US a penny, or maybe a nickel. You know, very little. It was enough to buy a cup of tea. And I had such difficulty giving them, you know, 1 cent or 2 cents for a cup of tea, because I would go into this thing of, I have so little money, if I give it to them, I won't have it. And yet, so I would be walking past them and going, but I have so much more than they have. Why am I so stingy? Yeah, I can give up a cup of tea. It's not a big deal. But then my mind would go, but it is a big deal. You know, but when I looked at it, it's like, this is no big deal. Give them, you know, a couple of pennies. They want to drink tea just like you do. I had to push myself to be generous to them, you know, because I was hearing my teacher's voice in the back of my mind, you know, saying generosity is the cause of wealth and cherish others more than self. And so I had to nudge myself to do it. Yeah? So sometimes we really have to nudge ourselves. And then when you do it, you realize it really wasn't a big thing, and you really didn't suffer so much because of it. That your mind was making up a big story. Want to hear another story? This is my maroon sweater story. When you're a nun, getting maroon sweaters is difficult. Okay, getting anything in maroon can be difficult because sometimes maroon is not the color in style. They have purple, they have green, they have blue, they have bright red, but no maroon, you know, and you need a sweater. And, you know, so when you happen to get a maroon sweater, you cherish your maroon sweater. So one time I was in Japan teaching, and the people there gave me not only a maroon sweater, but a cashmere maroon sweater. You know, cashmere, the nice soft cashmere. Wow, my cashmere maroon sweater. How did I get so lucky? So I really like this sweater. And then I was invited to teach in the former Soviet, at the time, yeah, it was right after the Soviet Union kind of fell apart. So I was invited to do a teaching tour in the former Soviet countries. So one day, I was traveling with a friend who was translating for me, and we arrived in Kiev. We were on our way to Donetsk in Ukraine, and so we arrived in the morning. We were taking the evening train, and so he said, I have a friend in Kiev, let me call her, and we can spend the day with her. So he called his friend, you know, she didn't expect us at all. 2 extra people arrive at her house. for the day. Her name was Sasha. And we were guests, and so Sasha had nothing. She was very poor. She took out the things that she was saving that were special for guests. Yeah? So she took out some chocolate she had been saving, some little goodies that she had been saving to give to guests. You know, I keep the goodies for myself, and I give what I don't want to other people. But Sasha did the opposite. So she fed us her goodies. We spent the day with her. It was really lovely. And then we got on I guess it was like a train going to the train station, you know, the public transport. Kind of, it's like maybe it was a bus, you know, some kind of transport to get to the train station. So this idea popped into my mind of, Sasha's been so kind to you. She's the same size as you. She's poor. Why don't you give her your maroon cashmere sweater? That idea popped into my mind. Instantly, another thought came. No way! No way! And then proceeded a civil war. Okay. Sasha and my translator were chatting very happily. And I'm sitting there, I remember, holding onto the pole, you know, as the bus or what streetcar was going along. Incredible civil war, you know. Give your sweater to Sasha, it'll make her happy. No, I never get maroon sweaters. Come on, give it to her. No, it's soft and I so like it. I really like it, you know. But Sasha's poor. You can get another sweater somewhere. No! You know? And then, you know, and then as we got near the train station, it was like, okay, we're getting near the train station. Give her your sweater. No! You know, I can't give her my sweater. It's in the suitcase. Well, then when you get to the train station, open your suitcase and give it to her. No, we might miss the train. Well, then get on the train and open your suitcase and give it to her. No, because then the train will start moving and she'll be on it and she'll have to jump off and she'll get hurt. So I'm having this incredible civil war inside myself. We arrive at the train station. Sasha, who has hardly anything, goes and buys us some food for the trip. I'm standing there going, children, what is wrong with you? You know, it's like it's a sweater. That's all it is. It's a group of molecules. You're not going to freeze. You have something else to wear. Give her your sweater. No! It was amazing. We get on the train. Sasha gives us this sweetbread. She, of course, waits with us. And then I just said, I've got to give her my sweater. So this torment inside. So I go, I open the suitcase, I pull out the sweater, I give it to Sasha. Her face lights up. And I say, children, what took you so long? You know, look at how happy she is. The train pulled away. Sasha got off the train. She didn't kill herself getting off the train. I go to Donetsk. I teach. I come back the next week, and Sasha's at the train station to pick me up. It's warm weather. She's wearing the maroon sweater. You know? So it's like this kind of thing. Sometimes you just have to, you know, say to your mind, just do it. And, you know, get over your stinginess or your selfishness or your fear or whatever it is that's holding you back, because you're not really going to suffer. I mean, I did not suffer at all giving her my sweater. In fact, I was very happy after I actually gave it to her. Yeah, but boy, did I have a civil war going on, you know, and that civil war was a lot of suffering. Okay, so we have to train this mind. Okay. And then it says, if those around me arise in mutiny against me, I will relish it, thinking this is due to my own negligence. So this is what I said about, saying I will, whatever harm I experience is the result of my own negative actions that I've done before, because I've been negligent in following the functioning of karma and its effects. And now verse 9, this is the verse that transformed my life. When my body falls prey to unbearable illnesses, it is the weapon of evil karma returning upon me for injuring the bodies of others. From now on, I will take all sickness upon myself. So here, exactly what it is. We're suffering. It's nobody else's fault. It's a result of my karma. Now, with compassion, I will take others' sickness upon myself. And in doing this taking and giving meditation, I will imagine taking their sickness, using it to destroy my own self-centeredness, and then imagine giving my body possessions and merit to them, so they can not only be healed of their disease, but so that they can encounter the Buddha's teachings, have all the good circumstances to practice, and so that they can attain liberation from cyclic existence. Okay. When my mind falls prey to suffering, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for definitely causing turbulence in the hearts of others. From now on, I will take all suffering upon myself. So verse 9 was about when we have physical suffering. Verse 10 is about mental suffering. Yeah. Which in your life do you have more of, physical suffering or mental suffering? Who has more physical suffering? Who has more mental suffering? It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, we have so much mental suffering. Okay, so our mind falls prey to suffering. Yeah, and when our mind is suffering, it's usually because an affliction is manifest. We're craving something that we can't get. We're angry about something. We are jealous. Jealousy is real suffering, isn't it? Yeah. For me, jealousy is one of the most painful emotions there are. Painful emotions there is. Anyway, whatever the grammar. Yeah. Because here's somebody else has happiness, which is what I'm always saying, may all other beings have happiness. We write it on our Christmas cards all the time. May all beings have happiness. Here's somebody has happiness. I didn't even have to do anything to cause it, but I cannot bear their happiness. I should have it. They should suffer. And I'm going to take their happiness away from them and make them suffer because I'm jealous. It's a horrible mind state, isn't it? It's a painful mind state. And when we act on it, causing others suffering, and then rejoicing, saying, wow, I really gave it to them, then we lose our self-respect. What kind of mind is that rejoices at inflicting suffering on others? how can we respect ourselves when we rejoice at that? So, jealousy is difficult enough. When we act on it, then it's like a double whammy, making us suffer. Okay? So, what has caused this mental suffering we have? We've caused turbulence in the hearts of others. We've blamed them, we've belittled them, we've not appreciated them, we've criticized them, we've made them afraid, we've made them feel like they were children, we humiliated them, we ridiculed them, we caused them mental suffering. Now it's coming back on us. So what do we do? And rather than get angry, rather than feel sorry for ourselves, we say, from now on, I will take all suffering upon myself. So we imagine others who have that mental suffering. We take it upon ourselves, use it to destroy our own self-centeredness and our own ignorance. Imagine transforming our body, wealth, and virtue and giving it to them so that it becomes whatever they need. Okay? So the way of meditate on each of these verses is exactly the same. Okay? You just apply it to that particular verse, how that works. When I am tormented by extreme hunger and thirst, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for engaging in deception, theft, and miserly acts. From now on, I will take all hunger and thirst upon myself. Okay? So when we're hungry, we're thirsty, we're suffering due to lack. Yeah? And we're suffering due to lack, and at the same time we have strong craving in our mind, wanting something. Okay? So there's the suffering due to lack, and there's the suffering due to craving. Okay? And why are we suffering in this way, from hunger and thirst? Again, it's due to our own actions that we've done under the influence of ignorance and self-centeredness. What specifically did we do? We deceived others. Okay? We stole from them, and we were miserly. So, it makes sense, doesn't it? We were miserly, we stole from others, we deceived them, we stole the truth from them. Yeah, we've deprived others. So what is the result we experience? We are deprived of food and drink. We experience hunger and thirst. Okay, so it's just a karmic result of what we've done. Yeah. So rather than sit and moan, to think this is, the wheel of sharp weapons turning upon me, because of my negative actions. So from now on, I will take all hunger and thirst upon myself, and I will be generous and give people food and drink. 12. When I am powerless and suffer in servitude to others, it is the wheel of evil karma turning upon me for being hostile to the weak and subjugating them. From now on, I will employ my body and mind in the service of others. Okay, so when we're in situations where we have no power, where we suffer in servitude to others, where we're helpless and maybe feel hopeless, and it's very difficult to do anything about our situation, instead of being angry, instead of striking back, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, we will say, the main responsibility for my experiencing this situation is my own negative actions done under the force of self-centeredness. In particular, in previous lives, I've been hostile to the weak and subjugated them. And maybe even in this lifetime, I've been hostile to the weak and subjugated them. I've taken advantage of people. Yeah. Maybe, you work for a corporation that is greedy and that overcharges customers. Maybe you were a Wall Street banker that really, subjugated the weak and let them, get all these phony mortgages. Yeah, I mean, we have taken advantage of others and subjugated them. Yeah? Or we've been rude to homeless people. Yeah? We've despised them or been condescending to them. Yeah, that happens even in this life. So, how does it ripen? In our being powerless and, being involved in being in service to others. Okay, so instead of creating more of that karma, let's bear it with a strong mind, a compassionate mind, and reverse those actions. Okay, so reversing it to employ my body and life in the service of others. Okay, now the question is going to arise, does this mean that in questions of social injustice, where there is structural problems in our society, that we don't do anything about it because it's the karma of those people? Why are those people poor? Oh, because they stole from others. That's their karma. Why are they being exploited by the rich? Oh, because they deserve it. Because previously they exploited other people. Yeah. So if I do try and remedy social injustice, I'm interfering with their karma. Do you think that's logical reasoning? Do you think that works? Yeah. Of course it doesn't work. Yeah. Saying, oh, it's their karma, they deserve to suffer. If I help them, I'm interfering with their karma. What rubbish. Yeah, somebody thinking that way does not understand karma at all. It's like saying, you're walking down the street and somebody got hit by a car and they're lying in the middle of the street bleeding, and you say, oh, that's too bad, that's a result of your karma. I'm not going to take you to the hospital because that's interfering with your experience, the result of your karma, and walking on by. What karma are we creating if we do that? Yeah. To have intense suffering with nobody helping us. So, this way of working with our own problems is not an excuse to let other people continue to suffer. It is not a justification for social exploitation or injustice. Absolutely not. Okay? So instead, it says, from now on I will employ my body and life in the service of others. That's the remedy. Okay?